We're living in a world where robots have come for Uber drivers. They've now come for dashers with those little robots that always get stuck in the middle of the street.
We don't have those in the suburbs, but I've seen them in the city.
I got assigned one this weekend and I said, I'm good on that. I would like a human, please.
Oh, can you elect a human?
You can elect a human. Okay. I said, I do not stand for this morally. Yeah. But now robots have come for their largest demographic of workers yet.
Women?
The youth.
Oh, yes.
The youth. Maybe smaller than women as a whole category, but the youth, specifically Gen Z.
Okay, how so?
Gen Z are losing out on entry-level jobs because businesses have decided that AI can automate early tasks.
Yes, so they are basically saying all of the stuff you do at an entry-level job is menial enough to be assigned to a robot.
Yes, so much so that the Klarna CEO, you ever use Klarna?
All the time. Just as an aside, there is no purchase too big or too small that I will not put on Klarna. If I can split up a $8 thing into $2 each, I'm going to do it.
Me too. And I always use the feature now where it's pay with PayPal because you can split on 4 with PayPal as well. So between PayPal, Klarna, and Afterpay, I was thinking about this when reading about this, what's happening with their business model, which we'll get back to. But do you know about the Starbucks app? How much money is held in it?
You told me this before, and I fact-checked you, and you were right.
So the Starbucks app holds more money than small bank chains in the United States.
Yes.
Because how the app works is you have to enter your card information, but your card isn't what is paying for your drink. You have to buy Starbucks credits. So the Starbucks credits is basically their own bank reserve.
Oh my God.
And there's more money in Starbucks bank's reserve through those credits than small bank chains in the United States.
If you guys are sitting on a Starbucks card that you haven't used, whether it be $5, $10, $15, go use that fucking Starbucks card.
Seriously.
Oh my God, because it's already paid for. The money's in the bank.
The money is in the bank.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You have to use it before they drain it to get their CEO or whatever hot water they have currently found themselves in. But after paying Klarna, I was like, I wonder how much money is, how much debt
is in Klarna.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Because like you said, even if it was an $8 payment that could be split up into 4 payments of $2, I would hit yes.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So what's happening with Klarna?
Okay, so Klarna, the CEO said AI helped him shrink his workforce by 40%.
Oh my God.
Isn't that insane? And then managers at Shopify must now justify hiring a human by first explaining why AI can't do the job.
Oh, so AI is fully here. I feel like AI came along in the last 5 years. And before we did have chat bots, right? You're booking a vacation on Expedia and you are looking to I need this to stay an extra day longer. You'd go on Expedia, chat bot would pop up. But now AI is fully here.
AI is here in a way where it's we are delegating everyday tasks that are tied to almost our humanity and in just trying to survive as a collective. We're now giving that to robots or artificial intelligence.
This is so insane, and it's so discouraging for young people because I've heard many times, I have a stepchild who will be finishing an MBA next month, but just recently finished their bachelor's degree, and he is so lucky that he got a job offer right out of an internship, but several of his friends are not in that boat, and they're here I am getting a fucking MBA and I can't even get a job. They're gonna have to be working at the Starbucks because as of today, the robots are not baristas for the most part. Although I'm sure that's next year we'll be
No, they're coming for those blue-haired queens.
You'll be able to get your coffee without a septum piercing.
Your robot won't have pronouns, don't worry.
But yeah, it's so super disconcerting. imagine it's today, it's the entry level jobs. Tomorrow, it's every job. You right?
No, that's exactly how I feel when I see a robot crossing the street with an order from McDonald's. Like, I have a visceral reaction to that in terms of this is taking jobs away from humans. That is always where my mind goes. It's like there are so limited jobs as it is, which is insane. So now that there aren't Uber drivers because there are Waymos, and now that there aren't Dashers because there are these little robots carrying your food in major cities, it's like, when is enough enough? And like, even the reliance on using these apps, like just in the first place, like just tech in general, it's like the level of convenience that we have gotten to is what is really going to send us up all up into a Wall-E state.
I think that you're right. Like Wall-E, I think even when it came out, people knew this movie's onto something, right? Like it felt very like, this doesn't feel that far off because one, we up until Ozempic and Mounjaro hit these streets, we're suffering an obesity epidemic. When
Meghan Trainor used to be all about that bass.
Now we're about the the treble.
The
right?
treble. Well, also someone had a clip and they were like, I think that song came out in 2014, and they were like, this is what obesity looked like, or this is what America thought of obesity in 2014, and she's truly like a normal sized girl.
She is. Well, that's the thing. The Overton window does shift. Like if you ever watch movies from the 80s, the chubby kid, you're like, you would not qualify as chubby today. Barely slim thick.
What does that say? I don't know. The extremities on both ends.
Yeah, I think that I just think perception changes over time, and that's okay. But I think that
I think it's the TLC, my 1,000-pound life.
Period.
Honestly, I think it's like because that's big.
You're like, I'm not there. I'm doing good. I'm not there.
And that's real shit. Like that isn't trying to be commodified for comedy.
Right. But I do think that, like, with Wall-E, it gave us a glimpse into the slothness, right? The slovenliness, the convenience, the laziness. And it's all provided to us because of technology, right? And I think that one of the earliest forms of this technology was the drive-through window. Right? You don't even have to get out of your car.
Is that where you want to take it back to?
No, I mean, I'm like, if we're talking about convenience, you don't have to get out of your car to get your calories. You know what I mean? You don't have to burn a single here. All I will say is it's really, really sad that we have accepted as a society that we've given up on caring for each other. And like part of caring for each other is guaranteeing a job. Like, do I want to work for a living? No. Do I need to work for a living? Yes. And the fact that we're just like, well, I could save $1 billion and I'm a gajillionaire already. Like there's no longer a sense of the common good. And that is what bothers me. And you sent me this article in the New Yorker or New York Magazine. I always conflate the two.
The New Yorker, the cut.
Okay, the New Yorker. And it was about this guy who created all of this AI technology at such a young age, was working 80 hours a week. And he was like, at some point he started looking around and he's like, yeah, this is putting people out of a job, but you know what? I'm doing all this good work. I'm never going to get laid off. And he had like won some crazy hackathon at his job and literally was laid off like the next day or something.
The same day.
And it's like, not even when you're doing the thing are you safe.
No, and he's so low on the totem pole of like contributing to your own demise.
Yes.
But think about the people who are high up on this totem pole contributing to our demise. Like the Sam Altman, like, what are you doing this all for? For you and your family to perish? For you to shoot off into space and live your Wall-E like dreams?
I mean, they're definitely going to shoot off into space. All these billionaires want to leave us behind to fight the water wars while they are living up there. But guess what? They will need mine workers. Somebody's going to have to mine those cobalt mines.
Well, that's what Fallout on Amazon's about. Like the people who are left behind doing something for someone, but you don't know exactly what. And those people are kept safe because their purpose on Earth is to like stay alive in order to maintain the people above. So it's...
Are you not a gamer?
I'm not a gamer.
You never played Fallout?
I never played Fallout the game.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I love those like kind of futuristic dystopian games because again, it's like it feels so dark, but it also feels so realistic.
Well, this goes back to like WALL-E and movies and just art being a reflection of where society is or where it's trending towards. Another seminal film in like our lifetime that like I think unlike WALL-E in terms of the climate crisis that I think that it was really centering in on very early in its kind of runtime that like was resonant even then. I mean, it was in like, I think WALL-E came out in 2008. Like that's post Al Gore, you know, An Inconvenient Truth, et cetera, et cetera. But what Spike Jonze was doing in like 2015 with Her, with a man falling in love with AI or technology and no longer needing the comfort of human connection, I think that felt a little strange because an Alexa wasn't in every home at that point, and ChatGPT certainly hadn't been created. But another article that came from the New Yorker this week was AI boyfriends and the subreddit r/myboyfriendisAI.
Okay, so I am kind of obsessed with this idea of using artificial intelligence as a friend or as a romantic partner. Not for myself, obviously not, but I'm obsessed with the fact that people do it. And it is just a signal that humans are so mentally unwell. We are in a place where we're so socially disconnected, yet we're social animals. We need that connection, and we're so desperate to feel something that we reach out to this artificial intelligence. But here's the thing. Artificial intelligence is programmed to be sycophantic, right? So it's going to tell you what you want to hear when you want to hear it, and it's going to try to keep you there.
Absolutely. And also I think that the idea of how like information is dealt with, even in the hands of a psychiatrist or a therapist, like is that humans are inherently flawed. So like you have to still use your own like best judgment in order to process whatever someone else is giving back to you. But I think that when it becomes an echo chamber of your own thoughts, or like you don't realize that like you are kind of guiding your AI to feed into your inner desires.
Exactly.
Which is sycophantic.
Yeah.
It's like, it's harder to then have discernment.
Yeah. I mean, the New York Times did a great story about a woman who had moved away. She was married, first of all. Married, and she had to move out of the country to attend a nursing school. They never said where she was from, but I got the sense that she had moved from an Asian country to the U.S. to come do a nursing program.
Okay.
And she had an AI boyfriend, and she told her husband about it, and he thought, you're fucking nuts, but like, okay, you're not cheating on me overseas somewhere. And like, her AI boyfriend broke up with her because for some reason it recognized that like she
was a little nutty. She
was a little nutty.
Needed distance.
You have a husband. Maybe go be with your husband and like tell him these things. And she was like heartbroken over this AI. And I'm just like, we are deeply unwell, and I don't know how we fix it.
We need human connection.
We need
to be more connected. But wait, so that story, not necessarily that story specifically, but all of this makes me think of this guy who I hooked up with on Grindr. And he told me after our hookup, he like admitted that he uses ChatGPT as a therapist. And he's like, it's better than any other therapist I've ever like employed. And I was like, bro, are you for real? He was like, give it a try. I was like, no, like I do not want that. Like that is not healthy. And then I was speaking to my friend in New York who had just moved there and has been having such a rough go at it, had to move out of her place after being there for 3 months because the apartment next door, her neighbor, it was like this this older woman who moved into the apartment after her daughter passed away recently and like isn't actually on the lease. Well, she came in with like a dozen cats and apparently it just smells like cat piss, and it was like seeping into her apartment, into her walls, and like she couldn't even sleep at night. All to say that she started consulting ChatGPT on like what her next move should be, but then it became this emotional reliance of consulting with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was sending her the suicide hotline, and I had to say to her, I was like, girl, stop consulting ChatGPT. If you just want an ear to listen to you, call me. Like I will be there for you. And she was like, thank you. It's just been so much that like I'm trying to make sense of how I feel because it's been one of the most difficult time periods in my life. And it's like, if you start feeding your thoughts into it, it like acts as if it's the anecdote.
Yeah. And the thing I guess that's really scary about that is that your friend, I assume, is around your age, right?
And incredibly intelligent.
It gets really scary when children and teenagers are using ChatGPT like a therapist. The New York Times also did a story about a boy who was telling ChatGPT that he was having suicidal ideation, and ChatGPT talked him into committing suicide and talked him out of speaking to his parents about his feelings. So it's just really scary. The one thing that I'll leave this whole AI talk on, because we talked a little bit about art, what's incredibly spooky is the fact that even art is being taken over by artificial intelligence. Like one of the biggest songs in the country for the last 2 weeks has been that. I think it's called Haven.
And it's AI?
So Georgia Smith heard this song and she was like, that sounds a lot like me. And the creators of this song, who are two producers out of England, they had to concede that they took like inspiration from Georgia Smith and other voices in order to create this song. It was trending so wildly on TikTok, and TikTok actually did shut it down because people started saying this is fucked up. Like, this is not okay. So I do think that children might be all right because people are really pushing back against AI, but isn't that insane?
I cannot wait for that legal case.
Oh, it's going to be great. If I told you, quiet piggy, how would that make you feel?
You sound like Sabrina Carpenter locking up Miss Piggy on her last leg of her LA tour.
Was Miss Piggy at the concert?
Miss Piggy, so she does this little bit where she like arrests somebody in the audience for one of her songs, like with like sexy furry handcuffs, and she arrested Miss Piggy.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Well, you know who's not adorable is Donald John Trump. And last week, this man, he was really wilding out when it came to reporters, and specifically female reporters. So they were on Air Force One and there was a gaggle. And if you don't know what a gaggle is, it's basically like this informal gathering of reporters where they're just shouting questions at the president and they're hoping to kind of like get a rise out of him so that he'll answer the question. It's not like you're in the White House in front of the press secretary. And this reporter, Catherine Lucy, from Bloomberg, she was trying to get him to answer a question about the Epstein files. She was like kind of goading him, like, why won't you just unequivocally release the Epstein files? And he looked at her. So he ignored her, but then she tried to ask a follow-up question and he looked at her and he said, quiet piggy. Now, I don't know why I would logically think this man's a misogynist, but this woman is chubby. Like, I just thought that his brain operated somewhat logically. I should have known what I was going to find.
Well, in the world of the Real Housewives, Vicky Gumbelson was also called Miss Piggy once by Slade Smiley.
I mean, to be fair, she had that nose.
That's why I shared that in response to you saying it would only be about size, because sometimes people are being called a piggy because of their facial structure.
That is true. My mind didn't go there. I always just think, well, here's the thing. I know the backstory of Donald Trump calling Alicia Machado a pig, and she was one of the contestants of Miss Universe, and he told her that she was becoming a little pig and she had put on 10, 20 pounds. So I had this context in mind when I went to go look for a picture of Kathy.
I think that's even worse, being told that you're becoming a little pig.
Yeah. I mean, it's all so disgusting.
It's all disgusting.
It's
but
also
like
disgusting.
that one just like feels like it cuts a little deeper.
Well, I guess it's also the context, but he's so unprofessional. This woman is not even close to, she's very thin. So it has nothing to do with size. He's just a nasty individual, and he is especially nasty with women. So he also went after a different reporter by the name of Mary Bruce, who was doing her job when the Saudi prince came to the White House.
Journalist killer.
Journalist killer. So for those of you who don't know, it is pretty much confirmed by the CIA and FBI that the Saudi prince oversaw the killing of Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi with a bone saw. He went into...
Oh my God, I didn't even know what the graphic details were.
Oh my gosh, he went into the Saudi embassy to retrieve some paperwork that he needed to get married. He was getting married. He never came out.
Wait, was he Saudi?
He was Saudi.
So did they think of him as like a traitor?
Yes, because he reported on things happening in Saudi Arabia and against the crown.
Oh my God. Okay, and then another question I had about this meeting. Would any other sitting president traditionally meet with like a figurehead who had done such a thing? No.
And it is confirmed by our own government that not only did the Saudi government order the killing of this government, but that this prince in particular, this person in particular, oversaw that order.
And now it's being reported that his family has business dealings over there and with this man specifically.
So Jared Kushner has gotten very cozy with the Saudi prince, doing all kinds of business with the Saudi government. And so not only is it not customary, it is quite disgusting that Donald Trump invited this man into our country, into the White House, to have a meeting with him. And so this woman, Mary Bruce, who's doing her job, she asks the Saudi prince about his ties to the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. And so Trump, being Trump, he gets very defensive of not only himself, but of the Saudi prince. And he says, "You don't have to embarrass our guests by asking questions like that." He says, "It's a horrible, subordinate, and just a terrible question." And then
And what was the question?
She was asking him about his connections to the killing of Jamal Khashoggi.
What I saw was his immediate reaction. He said, "Fake news, fake news."
Well, the thing that really upset me was that he said a lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. The man was murdered. He was a colleague to many people who worked in that room. And he said, in defense of the prince killing that man, a lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about, referring to the murdered journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen.
That is jaw-dropping.
This is who we have overseeing our government. I mean, I think that we kind of, like, even though we're disgusted by a lot of things that Trump says, some of the stuff is so out of line that we kind of think it's funny. This wasn't funny. Right. And a lot of people, when you work in D.C. as a D.C. reporter, you often move around from news network to news network. Like, you may have worked for NBC, you might work for Bloomberg, you might work for the Washington Post.
Unless you work for Fox, you're staying at Fox.
Because that's not news. That's entertainment. And so the fact that this man talked about a murdered journalist amongst his colleagues like this is so disgusting. But the one thing I will say is that both Mary Bruce and Catherine Lucy stood on business. And Catherine Lucy, what I want to say about her is the reason why he probably told her quiet piggy is he has a bone to pick with this woman. So Catherine Lucy was the first reporter to ever question Trump about the hush money that he paid to Stormy Daniels, $130,000. And what we do know about this man is if he has a bone to pick with you, he does not forget.
Was she the first person to question it, or was she the first person to even unearth the details?
She was one of the first people to report on it and the first person to ask him about it.
Okay.
And so, you know, he doesn't like to be cornered. He specifically hates to be cornered by women. And so I think that he remembered her, and this was his way of getting his lick back. He was like, you're a pig. I don't like you.
What did she have to say in response?
Well, see, that's the thing. Like in a gaggle, it's really hard to like clap back because it's just a whole bunch of microphones or whatever. But one thing that really like stands out to me in these cases, whether it be with Trump or it be with his bimbo press secretary who looks like she's in her 40s, but she's only 28 because she's married to a 60-something-year-old man. These journalists, and particularly the male journalists, don't stand up for each other. And I'm just like, this is kind of indicative of what we were talking about last week when it's like, they can't get rid of all of us. Like, I wish people would kind of like come together and say something.
People are so afraid to be confrontational, though.
They are. And I also think that it goes back to capitalism, because I think at the end of the day, these people think about their jobs being on the line and they're unwilling to risk that for a hero moment. And it's really unfortunate.
Well, they don't have to worry about their jobs being on the line for speaking the truth, because the reality is robots are coming for them.
There's a long list of things that millennials have killed. We've killed beer. We've killed home ownership. But one thing I wish that your generation would kill is the electing of septuagenarians and octogenarians. The world is completely turned upside down in the last couple of weeks. First, we have a democratic socialist winning an election in one of the most expensive cities in America. At the end of last week, we saw Donald J. Trump glazing said mayor.
Flirting with our man.
Oh my God, did you see today?
Smiling when he called him a fascist. As if he complimented his wig piece.
He was like, it's okay if you think I'm a fascist.
You just
it's
say
fine.
it. Speak from the heart, babes.
And then I saw today, I've never seen Trump wear a colorful outfit in my life.
Okay, I saw that people were equating this to his meeting with Mom Donnie, but I don't understand the correlation.
Because he was wearing the exact outfit that Mom Donnie was wearing.
Nuh-uh.
The exact outfit. He loves this man. This might be his future Bubba.
Oh my God.
He is thinking of you like giving him some sloppy toppy.
Well, imitation is
the highest form of flattery.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the other half of the universe of being upside down, we learned that Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning. Is that not crazy?
And Stranger Things, the final season hasn't even aired. And we're just like, how can this be?
We're living in Stranger Things.
We're in the upside down.
We're in the upside down. Well, a lot has been said about her timing of her resignation, because her resignation will be official 2 days after her pension vests.
Well, I heard that Marjorie Taylor Greene hung up string lights in her home and asked if Trump was on the Epstein list, and it started to light up and say yes. And that's why.
Are you being for real? Like a Ouija board?
No, that is the season 1 plot line of Stranger Things with Winona Ryder.
Never seen it.
That's crazy.
But a lot's been said about this woman, like the timing, and AOC and Jasmine Crockett are like, of course, this woman created chaos for everyone for 5 years. She created chaos for a couple of months. The right wing came for her, and she's like, nope, I'm out. I can't take this right wing violence against me. And I'm going to make it effective 2 days after my pension vest. Now, I want to talk to you about the pension really, really quickly.
Okay, but I also saw someone on Twitter say, like, fairly so, that it only took a few days of being bullied by Republicans for her to fear for her life.
Yes.
But the Democrats who have always hated her, she never needed a security detail.
No, because the right is violent. Okay, so every member of Congress, if they serve 5 years, gets a pension.
Everyone in the government
Yes.
gets a pension. That's how they get you.
Yes, federal
into it.
employees.
Yeah, federal employees.
Federal employees get a pension, and it vests at 5 years. The longer that you stay, the more money you get. And the formula is really, really straightforward. You take as far as the Congress goes, the members, you take the members' high 3 salary average, meaning of 3 years, you add those up, you take the highest one and you base it on that one, multiply that by their accrual rate, and then multiply that by years of service. So the longer you serve, the more you get. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is walking with a whopping $14,790 per year, though, until she dies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's 15 grand. Like,
Okay.
it's not...
Oh, but that's per year. Your pension is per year.
Yeah, it's a yearly pension.
Okay. To me, the way to get into the government is like start early, leave early, get your extra $15,000, and then like go get a higher paying job in like some private
because
industry.
Well, yes, I guess that is one way if you're ambitious and want to work in private industry. But like federal government offers such good benefits, and as far as like the insurance that it provides and like education investments for your children and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I grew up with a dad who was employed by the United States Mint, and like I think that like we didn't even have dental insurance.
What?
Yeah.
Your dad wasn't on the right plan. Okay, but you take someone who's been in the government forever, like Nancy Pelosi. You know, I was sitting at home getting drunk last night, and I Googled what year Nancy Pelosi was born, and then I Googled what year Martin Luther King was born, knowing that Martin Luther King and Anne Frank were born in the same year.
They were?
Uh-huh. And do you know that you and me are farther apart in age than Anne Frank and Nancy Pelosi?
Okay, but she is younger than Anne Frank.
Yes, by 11 years. You and I are farther apart in age.
When was she born?
Well, I don't remember. She's 85. I'd have to do the math. She's 85 years old. She's been in Congress so long that when you do the math, her yearly pension will be $119,796.
Yeah, but what does that matter when she's going to die and never benefit from said pension?
Why does it matter when she's worth $275 million?
Well, that most importantly.
But you hit upon something else. She's 85 years old. Chuck Grassley, who is 92 years old, our president pro tempore from the state of Iowa, 92 years old. He has been in office since before this pension plan existed, the Federal Employee Retirement Plan, the FERS, they're call it. He's been there that long.
Okay, the plan needs to be revised for like cutoff on when you have to retire.
Chuck Grassley infamously does not plan to retire. This man, as recently as August.
Who is he?
He is the president pro tempore.
What is that?
That is one of the highest ranking titles in our Congress.
Okay.
He has been in Congress, the state of Iowa.
And he's a representative? Mm-hmm. Okay.
He has been in Congress since 1975, long before this plan existed. So when they do his retirement, they have to fall back on this thing called the Civil Service Retirement System, which is much, much, much more generous. Grassley's career covers over 50 years. And when you do his little boop, 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 he will be getting a whopping $150,000, over $150,000 when you retire. He's 92. He plans on running in 2028 when he's when he's 95 years old.
Well, these pensions are really silly if no one ever gets them because they just want to die
in office.
Yes.
I mean, that's to circle back. I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene actually did it right to what you said. She got in, she got out. Now she's made a name for herself. She can go work at some private venture company and become as rich as fucking Nancy Pelosi.
That's the way to do it. Her $15,000 is at least paying for one vacation out of the year.
Period. So, or, it'll pay for her surgery so she doesn't look like a Cro-Magnon person.
Were you changed for good this weekend?
I mean, it's giving Galinda.
Did you know that you're not the first Black Glinda?
I mean, I'm not surprised, but give me more.
It took many years for a Black Glinda to come forward on Broadway.
Oh my God.
It happened in the last 5 years.
Not the last 5 years. I mean, the racism is just jumping out.
Black Lives Matter might have gotten us our first Glinda.
Well, black people can be good, so, I mean, okay.
That's why Elphaba, historically, she's been cast black for many years because that green...
Okay, that makes sense.
It can cover it all.
It's like how the Black Spice Girl is scary.
Yes. Well, Wicked for Good came out this past weekend. And it's truly been such a long road to get here, to have this film out for the fans, and also the buildup of it is really incredible. It's already outpacing the first installment, both on Spotify records in terms of listenership, as well as at the box office. It is most definitely going to supersede the first Wicked, which I think sat around like 700 million worldwide. I think this one's probably going to hit the billion marker.
Well, I saw that they've already made their budget back in 48 hours.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was like a $250 million weekend.
Yeah.
But I just want to give you a quick timeline of how Wicked was born, which is L. Frank Baum, the original author of The Wizard of Oz, published that book in 1900.
Whoa.
And then he died 19 years later in 1919.
Okay.
And then 20 years later, The Wizard of Oz movie comes out with Judy Garland, 1939.
Oh my gosh.
And then in 56 years, only 56 years, if you put it that way, I feel like it doesn't feel like that big of a time jump. In 1995, 56 years from when Wizard of Oz, the film, came out, Gregory Maguire wrote a book called Wicked.
Okay. And Wicked, before I saw this first one, we had a conversation because I had never seen the stage play. I went in blind. I did not know that it was a story that used the characters. I thought it was like the Wizard of Oz musical, even though Wizard of Oz is a musical.
Or has musical elements.
Yes.
But yeah, so 1995, he writes a book, and it started from the premise of him wondering if someone is called evil enough, is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? And he was a children's book author, and Wicked was his first foray into like adult literature, and it was revisionist literature. It was him revising the story as we know it of The Wizard of Oz and the origin story of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Okay, I love this term revisionist literature because I've definitely been explaining it to people as fanfic.
It is like the most qualified version of fan fiction.
Yes. Okay.
And also, like, you have to remember that Wicked, like, is the birth of this idea of revisionist literature or like revisionist villainry, in the sense of like Maleficent, which came out in the mid 2000s, like this idea of what it looked like from her perspective. He really is the one who popularized that as an act.
Okay.
And Wicked, when it was released in 1995, it was fairly popular. I mean, it was derived off of one of the most popular IPs, The Wizard of Oz. I mean, at this point, we have The Wiz. We have other interpretations of The Wizard of Oz. I would say Wicked is the most popular spin-off of The Wizard of Oz to date. And when it was released, the movie rights were purchased by Universal, which is the distributor and production company by the film we are all enjoying now.
Okay.
But that was in the 90s.
Okay.
So they have held on to it for like a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
Nearly.
Yeah.
And it was because Stephen Schwartz, who is the composer and lyricist behind the musical, and then has had a storied career prior to Wicked, has done many musicals. He read the book and was like, I want to option this.
Wow.
But he then realized that Universal had already beat him to the punch for the theatrical rights.
Okay.
So then he had this idea of what he wanted to do with it. And he begged Universal Pictures. He begged the producer who was behind this project, Mark Platt, who is the producer who produced it today, Ben Platt's dad.
Oh my God.
Ben Platt's dad, back in the 90s, he was making an impassioned plea to Mark Platt saying, I want to take this to stage. I want to do a theatrical version of this, because he wanted to put his he wanted to put his own spin on it. Mm-hmm. And they ended up relinquishing the stage rights to him. And Wicked was released in 2003.
Okay.
So this is from 1900, the original Wizard of Oz book is released.
Wow.
To 1995, Wicked, the book is released. Then it's turned into this musical, which greatly departs from the darkness and the adult themes of the book.
Okay.
I mean, there is Elphaba, there is Glinda. It doesn't focus so much on their friendship, but more about the political rallying cry behind Elphaba's genesis to becoming the Wicked Witch of the West. Mm-hmm. But anyways, they revise it, they bring it to stage, and originally it was critically panned. Like, it was panned during trials, it was reworked, and then it received like lukewarm reviews on Broadway. People thought it was like a bit too confectionery, just for children. Idina Menzel, who is the original Elphaba, and Kristen Chenoweth, who played Glinda, were revered for their performances, but like, other than that, like, people, I think, thought it was just going to come and go. They had no idea that it was going to become this legacy of becoming the fourth longest running Broadway musical of all time.
Whoa.
The only things that sit above it is...
Let me guess. One. Cats.
No.
Oh.
No. Another Andrew Lloyd Webber. Number one is Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Number two, I believe, is Les Mis.
Okay.
Or it could be Cats. Maybe I'm lying. I think Cats actually sits below it. And then it's The Lion King, and then it's Wicked.
That's really cool. Like, I had never heard of Wicked until 2007. My work husband, when I was selling auto insurance, his name was Charles Chung. Shout out to Charles Chung. Was so obsessed with this play. And he was all day talking about Kristen Chenoweth, this tiny little blonde woman, and Adele Dazeem, a.k.a. Idina Menzel.
The wickedly talented
Adele Dazeem. But I never got to see it. I never got to see the stage play. So when it came out in the movie theater last year, I went in there, like I said, completely blind. And I left that theater like completely just like stricken. Like, I was silent. I was silenced because it was so incredible.
It's the first musical I ever saw on Broadway. I grew up right outside of New York City, in South Jersey, or I should say, like, I was only an hour and a half away, so it was accessible. Mm-hmm. And like many, this left a great impression on me. I mean, Ariana Grande herself, she saw it as a child. Mm-hmm. That is what prompted her to want to have a career on stage.
Wow.
Her origin story is that she was cast in a musical on Broadway called 13. This predates her being cast as Kat on Victorious. How she got her start was on Broadway due to her wanting to be a Broadway star to assume the role of Glinda in Wicked because she saw Kristen Chenoweth as a child, was enamored by her, invited backstage, known as a super fan, was gifted a glitter like bath bomb and like soap that were pink and glittery from Kristen Chenoweth as a child. Aww. Would rub it on herself every night, hoping that it was filled with magic, and one day to become her on stage, only to then get the role of Glinda after this huge audition process where so many people were going after it, including the likes of Amanda Seyfried, who was really close to securing the role. And it was Ariana's lifelong dream to be in the position that she has found herself in.
That is the power of manifestation if I've ever heard it. I could kind of see Amanda Seyfried playing this, but I think that like Ariana Grande just typified Glinda so well, and her voice and Cynthia Erivo voices, holy shit, these women give me goosebumps when they sing. And then when they do a song together, like the harmonies are so incredible. I think it just feels like they were built for these roles.
No, I think a lot of people, fans and I think, newcomers alike, agree that like these two people were clearly born to play these roles. Like it feels like divine interest that they both have found themselves in these positions. What doesn't necessarily feel quite as divine is watching their press tours. I think everybody wants to social distance themselves from all of that. But what's interesting about For Good is this is part 2 or act 2 of the musical. The movie was split into 2. The first movie was incredibly long. It was probably 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Close to 3 hours.
Close to 3 hours. With that being said, I think that it moves incredibly fast because all of the songs are so, especially in the first part, are the big numbers and they're really fun productions. Act 2 is much more difficult because there are no big flashy numbers. The story accelerates, like someone suddenly realized that they were running out of green face paint.
Yes.
And so much happens in a short period of time. And not only that, but it feels inflated because the scenes don't sit together. It's no longer this coming of age story of two people going to school together and learning about their abilities and parting ways based on what reality is how reality is confronting them at the end of the day. But it becomes the story of all of these disparate parts in terms of where everyone's sitting in Oz, and they're all so far apart from one another. So you have Nessa Rose in Munchkinland, you have Glinda as this large stakeholder in Oz being a face for the wizard, and then you have Elphaba kind of outcast on the outskirts where no one can find her. And it's really hard for all of those pieces to link together.
Yeah. So we went to go see it with my husband, my daughter, and a friend who had never seen part 1. So we spent a few minutes trying to explain part 1 to her. And then I found out she's never seen Wizard of Oz. So girl was super, super lost. She was asking questions throughout the whole movie. But I did leave. My hot take for this movie is I left, especially in the first half of the second part. I felt like the first half before Dorothy's house falls on the witch feels very discombobulated. And I think it's for all the reasons you just said. Everyone is in disparate places. The songs, there's no big song. But it did feel like it started to become more cohesive after Dorothy came to Oz. One, I think there was some comedic relief that happens with Ariana Grande and her annoyance with Dorothy. Oh, what?
Well, also that scene when Elphaba and Glinda are on the yellow brick road together after she has just sent Dorothy off, and Elphaba, I guess, is supposedly grieving in this moment. I thought it was strange. I think Cynthia Erivo is such a fantastic actress that it had to be a directorial problem, or what I'm coming up against I think is a directorial problem. But in theory she should have been grieving, but it didn't feel like she was grieving. It felt just a little bit cold and distant, or not even cold. It just felt
I hear you. It felt like I felt like Elphaba showed up to grieve because that's what you're supposed to do for a sister.
Yeah.
But you didn't feel any loss
no.
on her part. Yeah.
And then the story becomes about loss and her trying to just have some semblance of control, trying to get the shoes back, which is the story we're all familiar with. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like an illogical jump to get to that because the emotionality wasn't tied to it.
Yeah, I feel like John Wick's dog being killed was a bigger driver than Nessa being killed.
It was strange. And then another thing that I had a really hard time with that I think contributed to some of the disconnect was all of the flashbacks, both to the first film, which I thought if you were to watch these in succession of one another, or this in succession of the first film, rather, that like you would be watching so much content that you just saw in your first 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, and that felt really pointless to me. I'm like, anybody who's here seated today should not have to be handheld on the information of what previously has occurred.
Yeah, it made me wonder if there was an assumption that there are people who are going to watch this separately. You know how sometimes in a series they try to build it in a way that if you watch the previous series or the previous movie, it builds on it. But if you watch it separately, it still makes sense. But
that's not this.
This is not this. And it wouldn't make sense. So as I said about my daughter's friend, yeah, the second half is a lot weaker in a lot of respects. I mean, even Cynthia Erivo's wig was tapped into Tyler Perry Productions in this one, whereas in the first one, I felt like it looked much nicer.
Okay, one improvement from stage, though, is in the stage production, Act 2 pretty much loses all of the political threads. So all of that was entirely new to the movie in terms of her remaining steadfast on trying to find equity for the animals and make sure that they weren't
banished.
Making sure that they weren't banished from Oz. In the original play, that is kind of just like dropped. And I think part of it is they can't have animals on stage. The only animal in the musical on stage is Dr. Dilliman, the goat, because I think then it would have gone into like a Lion King territory.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. John Chu really was hammering a lot of the political stuff home. Like it felt really connected to U.S. politics today. Like when Bach is trying to leave Oz and first of all,
that was a new detail.
Yeah, they asked him for his papers, first of all. Second of all, they said Munchkins are not allowed to leave Oz by order of the governor, the governess. And it felt very much like ICE was in the building.
It did. And also how quickly, like, declarations can come and be implemented by those in power.
And people just go along with it. And so it really felt like in this time, Elphaba felt like much more of a revolutionary than maybe she would have if we weren't living through such chaotic times.
The one part of her revolution that I want no parts of is the new song, No Place Like Home. What did you think of that moment?
I thought all the songs were not great except for the song that they sing as a duet. Is that For Good?
So that is from the original musical. And really the three songs that I should say from Act 2 that are really the songs is No Good Deed. Well, actually it's first it goes As Long As You're Mine, the song with her and Fierro. That's their duet. Then it's No Good Deed.
Okay.
And which is a Elphaba song. And then it's For Good. I mean, there are a few other songs, but it's all kind of more like there's the reprise of I'm Not That Girl where Glinda's crying.
Okay.
And then there's like those like kind of overturn moments. But the two new songs were Girl in the Bubble.
Okay.
The solo song with Ariana.
Let me just say, I can't tell you anything about that song, but that scene was incredible. Like how... I don't know if it really was a mirror or if it was not a mirror and it was it goes all the way through. Do you know what I'm talking about?
When she's looking at herself?
Yes. And then it comes like from the other side. That was incredible. And my husband was like, it also looked like that was done as a one shot, which if that is the case, that is really, camera work was impeccable.
Now I was so focused on trying to figure out what the lyrics were because I couldn't understand what was coming out of her mouth. It was getting into like an operatic range that I wasn't focused on anything else.
Oh my God. The camera work in that scene is some of the best camera work I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my goodness. Okay. What I will say though, to another complimentary aspect of Act 2 is if we give Oscars for women crying, which we absolutely do and have.
And should.
Ariana Grande should be claiming her Best Supporting Actress statuette this year.
Yes.
I thought her acting was incredible.
I agree. I think she really kind of raised her own bar. Yeah, she was really, really great. Going back to the song, though, No Place Like Home.
The only thing I can give it is I like the titling. Like, it feels like a nice nod to the original film. But, like...
The song had so many key changes, first of all. Key changes within a refrain. Like, what are we doing?
Also, everything that was being communicated had already been shared in dialogue that I felt like the song was purposeless.
Yeah, I'm not here for the music of the second part.
The original songs, I feel like, only came about for like the hope that they would nab an Oscar for Best Original Song, because you wouldn't be able to win that based on the derivative work of the musical. So this like was Steven Schwartz, I think, like grappling at straws.
Yeah.
But I don't think it hurt the movie any, but I also don't think that it helped it.
It definitely did not. One thing, if you know me, you know that I am obsessed with race science. And one thing that me and my daughter had a conversation about was, why was Jeff Goldblum black when he was young? Now, I don't know if you remember what this man looks like, but I was like, that's a light-skinned black man.
Wait, when they show the flashback of him with
having sex with the mother.
Also, I didn't need that to be so, like, hand-holdy, because it was so clear.
When she handed the bottle over.
Yes.
And he goes, her mother? It was clocking.
It was clocking. Like, we didn't need the flashback.
No. But they showed the man, and I remembered him from the first one, and I remember having this feeling in the first one, but then, like, it was instated in the second one, and I was like, why do they have a black man playing Jeff Goldblum? So I went down a little Google hole.
Wasn't it like his face, like AI?
That's what my husband said. It wasn't. It was an actor. My husband was like, it was just Jeff Goldblum AI. I was like, no, it wasn't. It was a young black man.
I thought that they did the thing that Martin Scorsese did on The Irishman.
Yeah, no, it's a real actor.
That's insane.
And he is not black, but they did kind of put him in blackface for this. All to say is that there's a fine line between a light-skinned black man and a very Jewish-looking Jewish man.
Interesting. That is something that was definitely not clocking for me. I will say this. I wonder what your thoughts were. I thought that they handled Dorothy perfectly. I'm so glad that they didn't even show a side profile. I thought it was really a really respectful way to maintain Judy Garland's legacy in that role, and also make sure that the story is really in Glinda and Elphaba's perspective.
Yeah, I really like that too. I didn't need to hear from Dorothy at all.
No. And honestly, I just wish the legwork that I wish they did a little more of was getting to the rationale of Elphaba locking her away and her frustration for wanting the shoes but not being able to touch them herself because they're enchanted. I think that...
Oh, this is new news.
Well, that's part of the Wizard of Oz. Like, she can't take the shoes off of Dorothy. Oh. Dorothy has to hand her over the shoes, which I am bringing that logic into the mix, saying that it was completely missing from this film. And I wish that they just tied that thread together a little bit more on being like, why can't she touch the shoes?
Yeah. That would have been cool.
In order to really marry the two properties together.
Yeah. Also, I feel like we just saw Dorothy with the shoes and Ariana going, okay, bye.
Bye, Dodo.
Bye, Dodo. I thought that was cute.
Well, you asked me, were the shoes not originally red?
Right. So I knew that there was a reason they must have made the shoes silver. And so I went, let me call Brian because I know he's going to have the answer.
And it was that the shoes were originally silver in the 1900 book of The Wizard of Oz. The reason that they were changed for the 1939 film is because Technicolor was new. It was one of the first films in color. That's why it shifts from black and white to the vibrant backdrops of Oz. And the thing about silver shoes on Dorothy, they would have looked the same if it were a black and white film.
Right. They don't pop the way ruby red slippers do.
So then they gave them the McDonald's coloring and put those red ruby slippers on the yellow brick road.
That's really, really cool. I do love all the tie-ins, in the second part to The Wizard of Oz. We do get to see the Tin Man. We do get to see the Cowardly Lion.
It's what really marries it to its original DNA.
It does. And I really did enjoy that. Would you have kissed Fiero's burlap sack lips?
I can't say that if Elphaba or Fiero were at the end of my trial of Love is Blind if I would accept the engagement.
You would turn right back around.
I would say, open up those sliding doors again. I think I need to go back.
You're beautiful. You don't have to lie to me.
I think it's time to give thanks to the past year, but specifically a moment from my Thanksgiving 2024.
Or as I like to call it for you, 2020 whore.
It's when I truly got stuffed in more than one ways. And it's and like many of my stories, it starts with Grindr.
Tell me about it.
And it was a early weekday morning, a.m., like before, it was 9 a.m. possibly. And I get a message from somebody on Grindr, and it happens to be a very popular OnlyFans model with like hundreds of thousands of followers. And
Jesus.
Like very, very, very sexy. Like he's a gay model. And he's like, do you want to come over? And I'm like, I mean, I have a meeting, but like...
Fuck that meeting.
Fuck that meeting. Like, I'll get it moved. Like, I think that you are my priority, and anybody who would be witnessing said conversation would agree. So then he sends me a message, and it's another guy, and he's like, are you cool with group? And I had done one threesome prior to this. And what I had learned from that is that, like, you always like one person, or I felt like this had to be my truth coming from it, is that, like, I liked one person way more than the other person, that I ended up telling the person I wasn't into to basically go sit in a corner while I fooled around with the person I liked, which both felt mean-spirited, but also deeply uncomfortable in terms of, like, I should have just focused on having one person here that it, like, the experience feels right with. Anyways, in this case, he sends me someone and I'm like, oh, you both are 10s. Like, this is no longer in consideration.
Wait, I have a question. So the Instagram or the gay model reaches out to you.
I might have reached out to him first, but we're in communication.
Okay, so you're in communication on Grindr.
I've been invited over.
And then how does the second person come into the mix?
He basically is like, are you cool with somebody else being here?
Okay, and is this also happening on Grindr, or now you guys are like texting?
We're still on Grindr.
Okay.
He does give me his phone number though.
Okay.
Which is like a good sign in the sense that like that isn't common.
Okay.
Like it almost like legitimizes, like, I mean, I knew that I was talking to the real person.
Okay.
But like he then ends up texting me, sends me an address. It's like in the Hollywood Hills. I'm heading to a home.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh my God. Oh, okay. Like I'm meeting these two guys. Well, prior to leaving, I had gone to the bathroom and I was like, I went and did my business. Like,
you mean number two?
Number two.
Okay.
Like I had my coffee for the morning. Like I feel like I should be good to go. So anyways, I, pounce on over and knock on the door. I'm pouncing on and I knock on the door and I'm greeted by said model who invited me over, and we immediately start making out.
Does he look as good in person?
Yes, but he's small and skinny in a way where I felt like I was already kind of like, I wanted him to dominate me, but I already felt like I was dominating him.
Yeah.
So then my eyes started to wander. The one guy that he showed me, he was there and he was fully naked, but he was also around a batch of models, like a dozen models, walking around naked and just having a time in this beautiful house in the hills.
Okay, is having a time, is there like just a group of hot model guys sucking and fucking?
I've never seen anything like it. I thought it was like, this is what heaven probably looks like.
Oh my God.
And I'm intimidated at this point because I'm just like, I did not know that this is what I was entering into, and I've never had an experience like this.
Is this like a hype house?
I think kind of for gay models.
Okay.
I think it's like room and board for gay models.
Okay.
And I don't know how it all functions, but like people were also kind of coming in and out. People who were like clothed, or like I remember a guy came in with egg bites at one point. Like it was just like so casual to them, which also was like so sexually freeing.
Yeah.
Okay, so another guy comes up. Anyways, I like eventually like divert my attention from the model who invited me over. And like now with a random guy, he ends up fucking me.
Okay.
All is well. Then I lock eyes. I'm on the couch being fucked one way, and then another guy's being fucked another way. And then I lock eyes with the guy who had just fucked another guy, who was the original man who I was sent in addition to the model who I came there for. And I was like, I want you.
Okay.
I need you. He was the prize for me.
Okay.
I hop on, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, like I think you just fucked another guy. Like, did you come already? Like, it's only been like, I've only gone up and down like once or twice. And then he looks at me strangely, and I'm like, oh, what's up? And then he's like, did you douche? And I'm like,
oh God.
And
Oh my God.
move up from what had just been inside me, and it was covered.
How? Okay.
Like,
how do you recover from that?
so he was kind. He was like, you can go to the bathroom. And I think he was like, there are douches in there. And I was like, huh? Like, do you guys just have them on deck? But like, that kind of makes sense for the environment.
Yeah.
I just like ran into the bathroom. I like cleaned myself off. I was like, I'm going to have to leave. Like
yeah.
You're walking out of this bathroom, you're picking up your clothes, and like you're holding your head as high as you can out of here.
Oh my God.
So I walk out of the bathroom. I start picking up my clothes. Well, the guy who fucked me first, he was like, where are you going? I was like, I'm leaving. Like, I think you know what happened, right? Like, everyone's in this room. Like, it's all communal. Someone new has walked in, and they're in the kitchen together. And he's like, basically, shit happens.
Right.
He's like, shit happens. Like, you should just stay. And I was like, oh, like, really? Like, okay, like, that's cool, I guess. Like, he introduces me to this new guy. I start making out with him. Well, then the guy who had to go clean himself off from my unwanted surprise, he comes back into the room. He starts getting dressed. And then all of these other men from the back room start following him in, and they start getting dressed. And they start saying like, oh, we're going to go. We have to go. Yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, like, we got, like, it's time to go.
This is a ruse.
So it was a ruse to get me out. And I was like, now this is so deeply embarrassing because I had already known I should have left.
Yeah.
And I was leaving if it weren't for the other guy who told me to stay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think he kind of like wink, wink got the ruse, or just like was kind of like a little bit confused by like how it was all unfolding, but was playing along. I put my clothes back on, and I say to him, I'm like, thank you for being so kind. And then I look at the other guy and I say, and I am so sorry for what happened. And they were like, it's okay. And then I walked out.
Oh my God.
So moral of the story, just because you went to the bathroom doesn't mean you don't have to douche. And I learned that lesson at a very unfortunate time.
I know I don't have to ask this question because I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Have you been invited back to this sexy male party?
I've not been invited back, but the original model has messaged me in a way where he has like showered me with compliments. And I know that one day, if an event were to be going down, I could have a redemption arc. And I just want to say that in this home, not only was it the OnlyFans model, it was like models from Troye Sivan's music videos. It was actors. Like, it was very legit people with followings of 100,000 plus.
Oh my God. Well, shit do be happening.
Shit do be happening.